Imagine this, and you're sitting in a quiet room. No phone, no TV, no distractions, just you, the walls and the silence. At first, it feels peaceful, but then something shifts. A restlessness creeps in. Your mind starts to itch, searching for something, anything to fill the void. You glance at the clock. Only 5 minutes have passed. 5 minutes that feel like an eternity. You fidget, you pace. You wonder how anyone could endure this. And then, the question hits you. Why is this so hard? Boredom. It's a feeling we all know, yet one we avoid at all costs. We scroll, we binge, we overwork, anything to escape it. But what if this avoidance is costing us something far greater than we realize? What if boredom isn't the enemy, but a doorway to something profound? A doorway we've been trained to fear, to ignore, to numb away. Consider this paradox. In a world overflowing with stimulation, we are more disconnected from ourselves than ever. We have endless entertainment, constant connectivity, and instant gratification at our fingertips. Yet beneath the surface, there's a growing emptiness, a quiet desperation. Why? Could it be that in our relentless pursuit of distraction, we've lost touch with the very thing that makes us human, our ability to simply be? Think about it. When was the last time you allowed yourself to sit with nothing but your thoughts? Not to plan, not to problem solve, but to simply exist. For most of us, the answer is unsettling. We've become so adept at filling every moment with noise that we've forgotten how to listen to the silence. And in that forgetting, we've lost something essential. But what if boredom is not the void we fear it to be? What if it's a mirror, reflecting back the parts of ourselves we've been too busy to confront? The dreams we've abandoned, the fears we've buried, the questions we've been too afraid to ask. What if boredom is not an absence, but a presence, an invitation to dive deeper into the uncharted waters of our own minds? This is the great question we must confront. What are we so afraid of finding in the silence? And what might we discover if we dared to face it? The answers lie not in the noise, but in the stillness, not in the escape, but in the confrontation. This is the hidden power of boredom, a power we've been taught to avoid, but one that holds the key to our deepest transformation. To understand why boredom feels so unbearable, we must first confront the psychological and philosophical forces that have shaped our relationship with it. At its core, boredom is not just an emotion, it's a signal that something is missing, that our current state lacks meaning or engagement. But in a world that equates busyness with worth and distraction with happiness, this signal has been distorted, even demonized. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Boredom, in many ways, is the unconscious knocking at the door. It's the part of us that refuses to be silenced by the superficial, that demands depth and purpose. Yet, instead of answering the call, we drown it out. We reach for our phones, turn on the TV, or lose ourselves in the endless scroll of social media. Why? Because boredom forces us to confront the uncomfortable truths we've been avoiding. Philosophers like Friedrich Nietzsche and Arthur Schopenhauer understood this tension deeply. Nietzsche saw boredom as a crucible, a necessary discomfort that pushes us to create, to evolve, to become more than we are. Schopenhauer, on the other hand, viewed it as a reflection of the human condition, a reminder of our perpetual dissatisfaction. Both recognized that boredom is not the problem, it's our resistance to it that creates the suffering. Modern society, however, has turned this resistance into an art form. Aldous Huxley, in Brave New World, warned of a future where people would be controlled not by pain, but by pleasure, a world where distractions would keep us docile and disconnected from our true selves. His vision was eerily prescient. Today, we live in a culture that glorifies constant stimulation, where even a moment of stillness feels like a failure. We've been conditioned to believe that boredom is a waste of time, a sign of laziness or lack of ambition. But here's the truth. Boredom is not the absence of activity, it's the absence of meaning. It's the gap between what we're doing and what we truly desire. And in that gap lies the potential for profound self-discovery. When we avoid boredom, we're not just avoiding discomfort, we're avoiding ourselves. We're sidestepping the questions that could lead us to a deeper understanding of who we are and what we want from life. So why does this matter? Because the way we respond to boredom reveals something fundamental about our relationship with ourselves. Are we running from the silence because we're afraid of what we might find? Or are we willing to sit with it, to listen, to learn? The answer to that question could change everything. The avoidance of boredom is not a harmless habit. It's a silent epidemic with far-reaching consequences. On a personal level, it erodes our capacity for introspection, creativity, and emotional resilience. On a societal level, it fuels a culture of distraction, consumption, and disconnection. But to truly grasp the weight of this issue, we must look beneath the surface, to the ways in which our fear of boredom shapes our behavior, our relationships, and even our sense of self. Neurologically, boredom is a state of low arousal, a moment when the brain is not being stimulated by external inputs. In this state, the default mode network, the part of the brain responsible for self-reflection, imagination, and problem-solving, becomes active. This is where creativity is born, where ideas are synthesized, where we make sense of our experiences. Yet, instead of embracing this natural process, we short-circuit it. We reach for our devices, flooding our brains with dopamine hits that keep us in a shallow reactive state. Over time, this constant stimulation rewires our brains, making it harder to focus, to think deeply, to simply be. Psychologically, the consequences are even more profound. When we avoid boredom, we're also avoiding the emotions and thoughts that arise in the stillness. We're numbing ourselves to the pain, the uncertainty, the existential questions that are an inevitable part of being human. This numbing doesn't make the pain go away, it just pushes it deeper, where it festers and grows. It's no coincidence that rates of anxiety, depression, and addiction have skyrocketed in tandem with our increasing reliance on distraction. We've become a society of emotional avoiders, using technology and busyness as a shield against the discomfort of our own minds. Culturally, the avoidance of boredom has created a feedback loop of consumption and disconnection. Social media platforms, designed to exploit our fear of stillness, keep us endlessly scrolling, chasing the next hit of validation or novelty. Advertising preys on our restlessness, convincing us that the next purchase, the next experience, will finally fill the void. But it never does. Instead, we're left feeling emptier, more fragmented, more disconnected from ourselves and each other. And then there's the existential cost. By avoiding boredom, we're also avoiding the questions that give life meaning. Who am I? What do I truly want? What is my purpose? These are not easy questions to answer, but they are essential. Without them, we risk living lives of quiet desperation, forever chasing distractions, but never finding fulfillment. The unseen consequences of our fear of boredom are everywhere. If we dare to look, they're in the way we rush through life, never fully present. They're in the way we fill our days with noise, never allowing ourselves to truly listen. They're in the way we sacrifice depth for speed, meaning for convenience, connection for consumption. But it doesn't have to be this way. There is another path, one that begins with a radical shift in perspective. Breaking free from the grip of boredom avoidance requires nothing short of a rebellion, a conscious, deliberate choice to confront the discomfort we've been running from. This is not about filling the void with more activity or better distractions. It's about learning to sit with the void, to listen to it, to understand it. It's about reclaiming the space to think, to feel, to be. And while this may sound simple, it is anything but easy. It requires courage, discipline, and a willingness to question everything we've been taught about productivity, happiness, and success. The first step is to reframe boredom itself. Instead of seeing it as an enemy, we must learn to see it as an ally, a gateway to deeper self-awareness and creativity. Think of boredom as a blank canvas, a fertile ground where new ideas can take root. When we stop resisting it, we open ourselves to the possibility of discovery. This is what Nietzsche meant when he said, "One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star." Boredom is that chaos, the raw material from which something beautiful can emerge. Next, we must create space for boredom in our lives. This means carving out moments of stillness, even, or especially, when it feels uncomfortable. Start small. Sit quietly for 5 minutes without reaching for your phone. Take a walk without listening to a podcast. Allow your mind to wander, without judgment or agenda. At first, this may feel unbearable. You may feel restless, anxious, even frustrated. But over time, something remarkable will happen. You'll begin to notice the thoughts and emotions that have been lurking beneath the surface. You'll start to see patterns, connections, insights that were previously hidden. This is the power of boredom. It strips away the noise and reveals what's real. Another crucial step is to reconnect with activities that require sustained attention and engagement. Read a book without skimming, write without editing, paint, play music, or engage in any form of creative expression that demands your full presence. These activities not only counteract the shallow, fragmented thinking fostered by constant distraction, they also cultivate a sense of flow, a state of deep immersion and fulfillment. Finally, we must confront the cultural narratives that equate busyness with worth and stillness with laziness. This is perhaps the most radical act of all. It means saying no to the endless demands on our time and energy, and yes to the things that truly matter. It means valuing depth over speed, meaning over convenience, connection over consumption. It means reclaiming our humanity in a world that wants to turn us into machines. This rebellion is not easy, but it is necessary. It is the only way to break free from the cycle of distraction and rediscover the richness of our inner lives. And as we do, we'll find that boredom is not the enemy we feared, but a powerful ally, one that can lead us to our deepest truths and highest potential. The ultimate truth about boredom is this: it is not a void to be filled, but a mirror to be faced. It reflects back to us the parts of ourselves we've been too busy, too distracted, too afraid to confront. It shows us where we've been hiding, what we've been avoiding, and what we truly desire. In this sense, boredom is not just an emotion, it's a teacher, a guide, a catalyst for transformation. When we stop running from boredom, we begin to see it for what it really is, a call to presence. It's an invitation to step out of the autopilot mode of modern life and into the fullness of the present moment. It asks us to slow down, to pay attention, to engage with life on a deeper level. And in doing so, it reveals the richness that has been there all along, hidden beneath the surface of our busyness. This realization is both liberating and unsettling. Liberating, because it means we no longer need to chase after external validation or fleeting pleasures to feel alive. Unsettling, because it forces us to confront the uncomfortable truths we've been avoiding. But this is where the magic happens. In the stillness, in the silence, we find the clarity and courage to make meaningful changes. We discover what truly matters to us, and we begin to align our lives with those values. Boredom also teaches us the art of patience. In a world that values speed and instant gratification, boredom reminds us that some things cannot be rushed. Creativity, insight, and personal growth all require time and space to unfold. When we embrace boredom, we give ourselves permission to slow down, to trust the process, to let life unfold in its own time. Perhaps most importantly, boredom reconnects us with our humanity. It reminds us that we are not machines, designed for constant productivity and efficiency. We are complex, emotional, creative beings, capable of profound depth and meaning. When we allow ourselves to be bored, we reclaim the parts of ourselves that have been lost in the noise of modern life. We rediscover our capacity for wonder, for curiosity, for connection. So the next time you feel that familiar itch of boredom, don't reach for your phone or turn on the TV. Pause, breathe, listen. Ask yourself, what is this moment trying to teach me? What am I avoiding? What do I truly desire? The answers may not come immediately, but if you sit with the discomfort, If you allow yourself to be present, you'll find that boredom is not the enemy. It's the doorway to a richer, more meaningful life. This is the hidden power of boredom, a power we've been taught to fear, but one that holds the key to our deepest transformation. Embrace it, and you'll find that the stillness you've been avoiding is the very thing you've been searching for all along.